I get it, you're staring at the price tag on the Rancilio Silvia Pro X and wondering if it's worth turning a corner of your kitchen into a mini cafe. You've probably seen a few glossy videos where the machine looks like a piece of art, and you're thinking, do I really need this level of hardware? Or am I just buying hype? If you're on the fence, let's walk through what owning this espresso rig actually feels like day to day, and whether the extra spend makes sense for you. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest hesitation people have with any prosumer espresso machine is the learning curve. The Silvia Pro X isn't a press a button and get a latte gadget. It's more like a small commercial unit that expects you to know a bit about temperature, pressure, and timing. That can be intimidating if you've only ever used a pod machine or a simple stovetop mocha pot. But the upside is that once you get past the basics, you have a tool that can consistently pull a shot that rivals a decent neighborhood CAF. The 4.5-star rating from a modest pool of 34 reviewers tells me most owners feel they've hit that sweet spot, even if the journey isn't completely painless. Let's talk about the setup. The dual boiler design is the headline feature here. One boiler stays at brewing temperature while the other heats steam for milk frothing. In practice, that means you can pull a shot and start steaming a milk pitcher at the same time without waiting for the boiler to switch modes. If you run a small office or entertain friends on a weekend, that parallel operation can shave a couple of minutes off your workflow. On the flip side, dual boilers are thirsty. They draw more power and generate more heat, so you'll notice a slight rise in your electric bill, and the machine will need a decent amount of counter space. It's not a compact appliance you can tuck behind a toaster. The PID controller is another piece of the puzzle that separates the Pro X from a basic single boiler model. It keeps the brew boiler temperature within a narrow band, which translates to shot-to-shot consistency. In real life, that means once you dial in a temperature that gives you the flavor profile you like, say, 93°C for a chocolatey espresso, you can walk away and expect the next cup to hit the same notes, provided the beans stay fresh. The catch is that PID isn't a set-and-forget knob. You still need to understand how temperature shifts affect extraction, especially if you swap between a light roast and a dark roast. Beginners might spend a few extra minutes fiddling with the control screen before they're comfortable. Soft Preinfusion is a subtle but useful feature. It introduces a low-pressure soak before the full pump pressure kicks in, which can smooth out the extraction, especially with beans that have a tendency to channel. In my own experience with a medium roast, the Preinfusion gave the crema a slightly richer color and a more rounded mouthfeel. The downside is that you have to factor in a couple of extra seconds when timing your shot, and if you're in a rush, you might skip it and lose that nuance. Now, the shot timer and the Auto On programmable wake-up function are conveniences that feel like they're designed for the I want CAF speed at home crowd. The timer gives you a visual cue for how long the pump has been pulling, which is handy when you're trying to hit that 25-second sweet spot. The Auto On lets you set the machine to fire up at a specific time grade if you have a morning routine where you want the espresso ready as soon as you hit the kitchen. But if you only make coffee a few times a week, those features can feel like overkill, and you might end up with a machine that's always on standby, again nudging up your electricity usage. The upgraded stainless steel portafilter is worth mentioning because it's the point of contact with your coffee puck. It's heavier and more rigid than the standard aluminum version you find on many entry-level machines, which helps maintain pressure during extraction. In practice, that rigidity can reduce channeling and give you a more even extraction, particularly when you're using a consistent tamp. The trade-off is that the portafilter is a bit bulkier, and the stainless feel can be a little intimidating if you're used to lighter handles. It also means the basket is a bit tighter, so you have to be mindful about cleaning out coffee grounds after each use to avoid buildup. So, who should actually buy the Silvia Pro X? If you're a coffee enthusiast who enjoys the ritual of dialing in grind size, adjusting brew temperature, and perfecting milk texture, this machine is a solid investment. It shines for people who have a dedicated coffee corner, a reliable power outlet, and the willingness to spend a few minutes each morning learning the nuances of espresso extraction. Small offices that want to impress clients with a high-quality brew, or households